My 2 cents while Kelly's coming up. We've been talking about this since 2016. We've made progress in terms of having positive discussions, even with the latest administration. Commissioner Peters, Kelly, and I, Commissioner Scheer met with the White House. We met with their Office of Management Budget. We met with the Corps of Engineers in Washington. Everybody says that there's a positive response, yet the language that still resides in the Word bill requires easements that have a 50-year easement language. We're never going to get easements out of property owners, which again, you have to have 100% of the easements in any segment, and that's from point A to point B. So if you have areas where you have all the easements, but it's only one section, the entire section's ineligible. That language hasn't changed. And until we get that type of language change, we're at risk. Okay. And so, we've fought and tried, I think, everything to make the federal government do what the Corps of Engineers is designed to do, which is protect infrastructure. They're not there to give us a beach. They're there to do nourishment, to protect the infrastructure that exists, and we have not been able to see a change. So the question is, do we wait and try to get that change, and how long do we wait? As last year, you provided funding. Kelly went out and they worked to design the project. They worked to obtain all the necessary permits to where it was shovel ready. It's ready to go. And we're at that point where we've got to make a decision.
Yeah, and I know we're kind of at a drop dead point. But I know that, like, for instance, Congresswoman Luna has talked directly to the White House about this. And so what happens if in a month from now the Corps decides to change their policy after we've already approved this?
That is the literally millions of dollars question that we've tried to struggle with. And I understand exactly your question, and that's, if I thought there was an answer there, and Kelly can certainly speak to it, I would say we wait. But if we don't make a decision, we can't have sand, we can't have a level of protection prior to the prime hurricane season. And so your question is dead on, and we've struggled. The Congresswoman, Senator Scott, I mean, they both have been extremely involved in this, fighting like everything to try to change this, but they haven't been able to change this language. They haven't been able to get an executive order. They haven't been able to do what's necessary to where we can go forward without having to get 100% easements and have the language revert back to the way they were doing it prior to 2017. And without that change, we put ourselves at risk. Let me say one more thing. We're looking at this as a one-time solution, not as a permanent solution. And it's designed that way because we cannot afford that every 6 years we spend $125 million. And so we need to work with the community, with our beach communities. We need to have meetings on this, but we need a federal solution on this. So we see this as a one-time to give us a level of protection, not a permanent solution. But the property owners need to work with us also. And we understand and if we could come back with what we wanted, which was construction easements or things like that, then I think we'd have more to talk about. Well, we haven't been able to see that type of change in this, so we see this as a one-time solution. Give us a level of protection to fight for a better day, and try to get the long-term solution through modifications in Congress.
So if we are midway through the project, and I realize we have to start now so we can have it ready for hurricane season, and that sand is not just there for the tourists, it's not just there for the beauty aspect of it, it's there to protect infrastructure. Right. And it's there to protect people and their homes and livelihoods and lives. But if we're midway through this project and, say, for instance, President Trump decides to do an executive order, do we feel like we could, and this is purely hypothetical, but do we feel like that we could get reimbursed for this project?
Probably not.
No, the Corps does not reimburse, but I also want to mention too that the Corps has acknowledged they can't do a project in 2026. They can't get it designed, they can't get it to bid.
Oh, even
I mean,
if-
until 2026, so they could not get sand on the beach this
There's an
calendar year.
appropriation process with the
Okay.
Corps, and so even the projects that they have out there, they've pushed out into 26.
Okay.
And it's, I really wanted them to share in this cost. I know you did also, and we've done everything we can, but